It's time now to check out Suzuki's recently launched DR Z400SM. The SM, or Supermoto, is Suzuki's response to the recent Supermoto craze, a form of racing that's huge over in Europe and is quickly gaining ground here in Canada, thanks to a newly established national series. Supermoto combines the excitement of road racing with the big air and bumps of motocross. Hence, this Suzuki's RM spec motocross suspension bits, combined with 17-inch aluminum spoke wheels. In the braking department, you'll find a pavement-ready 310mm front disc, mounted to the inverted Showa fork. Out back, the tapered aluminum swing arm runs a 240mm disc. Power comes from a liquid-cooled, electric start, 4-valve, dry sump, 398cc single. So how does the new Suzuki 400SM work? Well, recently we invited a longtime professional road racer, a true Supermoto convert, Jeff Gaynor, to throw a leg over the SM. We wanted to see if it truly was good enough to call super.
So Jeff, 2004, the buzzword all summer long was Supermoto. Everyone in the industry was talking about it, and anyone I spoke to that rode it just loved it. And look at this, 2005, Suzuki shows up with their own moto.
Yeah, I caught the bug for sure. I really enjoy doing it. Dabbled a little bit in racing again on them, and yeah, now as you see street bikes or supermoto bikes coming out street legal is very exciting. It's really cool.
Well, let's talk about the buzz on this bike. You're the first person in Canada to ride one. What do you think?
Oh, I loved it. It's a really neat bike, and I call it sort of Mr. Versatility. You can do a whole bunch of stuff on it. It makes it a really fun street bike. Nimble, small, gets everywhere you want, yet power-wise, it'll go, at a good speed down the road without feeling like you're on a small bike.
Right.
And then you can go supermoto racing on it as soon as you tape up the headlight and tail light.
What were your first impressions of the motor?
Its top end is really good. I was surprised out of a 400 how well it is on its top end. And it's smooth, it feels really light and has definitely adequate acceleration.
Okay. And breaking this motor in, obviously, as I said, you're the first one to ride it, so you had to break it in. What about the shifting?
Very early on, maybe a little bit notchy, but as soon as the bike warmed up and the fluids got all warmed up in there, then it was great. It was no problem at all.
Okay. Big thing about moto is to be able to, brake when you need to stop on the pavement to get ready for those dirt sections. How did you find the brakes?
Oh, they're awesome. This bike has got great brakes. I mean, like I said, I did a little bit of racing this summer on a supermoto bike, and these brakes will match the race bikes that I was riding. It has got really good brakes. Big discs. I mean, they're 4-piston calipers, but they're strong. I mean, it's a real strong bike.
Excellent. Now tell me about the suspension. We didn't have any time to dial this in. The suspension components certainly look the part.
Yes, well, I mean, the front forks are right off the RM, so you know that they're going to hold up over dirt sections if you happen to journey into there. The rear shock's off the RM as well, and they've just used a street type of rear swing arm, which is great. And when you put the whole package together, it's got really, really good suspension. It tracks very nicely down high-speed straightaways on the road, and that's something that not all supermoto bikes do.
Right.
This one tracks very straight. I mean, if you took one hand off to make a helmet adjustment, no problem at all.
How did you find the layout?
It's great. It is very good. If I had maybe one minor complaint, it's just our brake hose here somehow a little bit gets into the way of the instrument cluster a bit, because, but it has to, obviously, for the travel of the fork. But I mean, that's very minor, but it did get into the way a little bit as you were going. You could feel it. Other than that, the ergonomics of it are great. It's got a fairly narrow seat, like you're going to need if you're going to go supermoto, but surprisingly, I mean, we spent a few hours on the bike today, comfortable as anything.
What about the rubber?
It really sticks well. I mean, you're talking a real high quality tire that they put on here. There's no rim savers when it comes to those wheels and tires. If you're a person that wants to try supermoto, you've gone out and seen some of the races at Supermoto Canada or something, it's a perfect way to do it, because now you don't have to go out and buy yourself a bike and then go and spend $2,000 or $3,000 on upgrades. You've got yourself a bike at what it would cost you considerably less than if you tried to build one up.
Right.
And it's capable of running, you know, for sure in an expert class right at the front, if not winning. And if you decide you want to go pro, I mean, you know, you just do a few changes.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit beefier bar and, you know, some gearing and a little bit of a pipe, of course, and a little bit of motor work. And it's going to be there. I mean, it's proven with the suspension what you've got. And it's a great base to start from. It's a cool street bike to own. You know, if it's not going to get you into a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
It's going to be very forgiving to ride. I guess if there was one drawback for some street people, it's just it is a dirt bike, so it sits higher. So if you're, you know, short-legged or not a very tall person, that could be a bit of a drawback.
Right.
But I mean, I'm not a very tall person. I felt very comfortable on it, and it's a fun bike to ride around when it starts to get a little twisty, and because it's just so light and nimble, you can have a lot of fun on it.
Well, you certainly had a big grin on your face.
Yeah.
I could see it right through the visor.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for joining us, Jeff.